Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Nontraditional Nurse podcast. I'm Ellie, and today's episode is going to be a fun one. I'm joined by Christine Rincon. Thanks so much for being here, Christine.
Thank you for having me.
And Christine is also known as the space nurse and has built a career at the intersection of nursing and aerospace. And she's trying to help redefine what's possible for nurses in this emerging industry. So today we're going to talk about how she carved out this path, where nurses can be an asset in the aerospace industry, and what barriers there are currently for nurses interested in space. So we will start kind of with your origin story, Christine. How did your journey as a critical care nurse evolve into this mission to bring nurses into space?
Well, my it's funny because my career was kind of a long one, but it was planned.
Yeah.
So, at first, I became a nurse, and I started where we all were told to start, right, in med surge.
Yep. Yep.
But I really enjoyed my time in med surge. It was a couple of years, and it really gives you like the core of nursing. You really understand like what's going on. But
Yeah.
then after a couple of years, I realized that I really just wanted to see like the sickest of the sick. Um, so I decided that I wanted to move on to ICU at that time. So I went to ICU. It was at our level one trauma hospital. So I was in the trauma ICU. Not only was it trauma ICU, but it was like surgical ICU. It was, I think we had a lot of liver and kidney transplants there too. So
Wow.
I got to see a lot of things. The only thing that I haven't really done is CVICU. So like a true CVICU, I haven't done. Um, but then as I got to take care of like really sick people, I was like, well, I want sicker. So then being in trauma ICU, it was a natural change to go to the trauma resus bay. So I
Okay.
was there for a couple of years doing trauma resuscitation, and I really enjoyed that. And then my attention kind of shifted to, at that time it was, well, is because I like sci-fi and all those things. Is there a path for space nursing? Like there has to be, right? So at that time I was like looking and there was nothing. So I thought to myself, well, what is the closest I could get so that in the future when it happens, I'm ready. So I decided to do flight at that time. So I did fixed wing flight, which is essentially, flying the jets. And at that time
Okay.
I was taking people back home. So people when they get sick on vacation, um, instead, and they go to like a hospital in that country and they want to come back,
Hmm.
they'll usually, through their insurance or they'll pay for a jet to come pick them up. So I really enjoyed that. Um, but it was kind of, with those jobs, you have to kind of just be on call all the time and then drop what you're doing and then go spend 1 or 2 or even 3 days bringing that patient back home and things like that. So eventually, my mother got sick and she passed away, unfortunately. She had ALS.
Sorry.
And I think that that was the time that I was like, okay, I am not going to wait around for somebody to figure out that nurses are necessary. I'm just gonna tell everybody that will listen to me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where how we got here. Um it was just me realizing that um if uh if it's not going to be something that is going to happen, I'm going to try and do what I can to make it happen. So that's where the space nurse
Yeah.
came along.
Yeah, you saw a gap in the market. I love what you said about, getting as close to space as possible. Because as I was, like, running through your story in my head, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she got her feet off the ground. She got one step closer." And I just love that. You're like, "It's not ready for me, but I'll get as close as I can."
That's
That's
literally
so
what I thought. I
awesome.
watched I watched like a TED talk or something one time that was like, if what you want is not an option yet, just make yourself ready for when the door opens. So
Yeah, your
that was kind of my
positioning.
mentality. Exactly. That was kind
Uh,
of my
uh,
mentality with the whole like, well, let me do flight. I really enjoyed flight.
yeah.
And you know, that will hopefully segue into space whenever that becomes a thing. And then so I was
Yeah.
waiting for it to become a thing, and then I decided, you know what? I'm gonna help make it a thing.
Yes, and you've kinda I mean, you've, like, definitely dipped your toes in a lot of things aerospace already, so tell us a little bit about what sorts of things you've done to kinda integrate yourself into that industry.
So a lot of it comes from, for me, a lot of it comes from networking. I think a lot of us nurses don't know the power of LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is actually
Yeah,
really like strong with networking. So LinkedIn
absolutely.
was the big thing. The other thing is I joined a lot of organizations. So the organizations with the people that make the decisions are another big tip that I would give to people. So I joined the Aerospace Medicine Association, which is like the big flagship aerospace medicine organization. Um, I joined OSMED, which is the Organization for Space Medicine Design and Engineering, and I joined the Women in Aerospace Medicine, which is a an arm of Aerospace Medicine Association because they have a lot of like little arms inside there.
Okay,
They also have the allied nursing. I mean, um, the Nursing and Allied Health organization or arm of the Aerospace Medicine Association. And so those were all like integral into helping me learn more and connect more and meet people. And I think that if I were to give like any tip as far as how to worm your way into the industry that you want to be part of, that's what I would say.
yeah, absolutely. And, I don't even think this is on most nurses' radar at all, so for people, nurses who have never thought about it before, why do you think nurses, like, should be in spaceflight and aerospace medicine?
So I will start by kind of like explaining how it is now. Uh
Yeah, yeah.
currently currently we have our space program is uh going to the International Space Station and coming back. There
Uh-huh.
is a lot of buzz around space right now because they're trying to go back to the moon and mine the moon for resources. They are trying to, and when I say they, I mean like NASA, SpaceX, Axiom, like all those different
Sure.
commercial space organizations. So they are trying to make um, new space stations out there. They are talking about going to Mars. And right now, the way that they have it is there is mission control and they have a flight surgeon who will talk to the International Space Station and help them make decisions if some medical thing goes on. On top of that,
Okay.
astronauts, you'll be surprised to know that astronauts only get 40 to 60 hours of medical training. And with
Wow.
40 to 60 hours of medical training, they're supposed to just kind of not just figure it out because they have a doctor that they can call, but they're
Yeah.
that's what they use to handle any medical situations. If we're
Yeah, so you
going
don't
to
wanna
go
be the one having a problem on the space flight, that's for sure.
exactly. If we're going to go farther and farther away, right, there's going to be
Mhm.
longer and longer delays between the telephone conversations.
Sure.
They say that it could be to Mars as little as 20 minutes and more if there's like a solar flare or something. So imagine somebody going into cardiac arrest and then having to wait half an hour to an hour before they can even reach anybody. So
Wow.
for me, it was a no brainer that
Yeah.
we need to start mimicking the medical capabilities that we have on Earth. There was a situation a couple of weeks ago where they had to bring the crew back because of a medical situation that happened. And
Okay.
a lot of the big talk was wow, it shows how prepared NASA is, because the models showed that these situations were supposed to happen more often, right? And in the history of
Mhm.
NASA's space flight career, this is the first time that that has happened. So it's like, wow, this is amazing. However, the answer to that was bringing them back, which,
Yeah.
if we're talking about going to Mars, we literally can't do.
Yeah.
So, this is why me and a lot of really entrenched, like, space medicine doctors in NASA are like sounding the alarm, like, hey, we're not ready for what you guys are planning. NASA is a organization created by engineers for engineers, right? Which is the reason why
Mhm.
we have amazing rockets and amazing all this stuff. However, an engineer doesn't understand the gray area of medicine. The switch is either on or it's off for them.
Yeah. Sure.
so we need to kind of like speak up a little bit more and say, hey, I'm glad that, it's good that we were able to bring them back, but if you want to go farther and farther and farther, we need better medical capabilities, and we need people that are trained for longer than 40 hours. In the case
Yes.
that you can't call the flight surgeon on Earth and figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can teach engineers medicine, albeit that not long enough probably, but why can't you teach nurses and physicians, engineering or how to be an astronaut, really? So that makes so much
Absolutely.
sense.
Absolutely. And the thing that they are trying to do is essentially prolonged care, right? So we're going away from the treat and street mentality, and we're going into the how can we take care of a sick person for a long period of time. And Ellie, who better than anyone can take care of a patient for days, weeks, months than a nurse?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that is literally what we are trained to do. And not only do we take care of the illness, but we take care of the whole patient. We take care of their comfort, their are they sleeping, are they, all those things. And
Mhm.
these this is a way of thinking that we need to bring into it, instead of trying to train an AI to like tell the astronaut what to do. This is the
Yes.
way of thinking that we need to bring into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in your like networking experience and, kind of integrating yourself into these organizations, are you meeting any nurses? Do nurses exist in aerospace? What are they doing if they do exist? Like where are we even at?
Right now, there are nurses in space medicine, but the jobs are not. There's no nurse in the title. So I have
Okay.
already met a space medical operations person who works for NASA. I have met someone in like a very high level of C-suite. She's like the medical like risk person.
Okay.
There is a occupational health nurse that I met. So a lot of the nursing is working in the different NASA buildings. Um
Sure.
Being the occupational health nurse for that, for example, like Kennedy Space Center or NASA Johnson Space, and then helping the guests, but also helping the astronauts. At Kennedy Space Center in particular, because that's where they launch from.
Mhm.
They actually get a lot of experience with helping the astronauts suit up and those kind of things. Um,
Okay.
so it kind of looks like that. One of them actually, I spoke to, and she said the way in at the very moment is to explain to them why. And this sounds like it sounds crazy, but like to explain to them that your nursing skills matter in a way that an engineer can understand.
Yeah.
So they want to see what you have fixed in your organization to make a process better. They want to see those kind of things. Not, I was a charge nurse for a 24-bed unit or something. They
Yeah.
want to see what you actually changed to improve the flow of the system. So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
more of like a
efficiency is so huge in space.
yes, it's more of like a systems thinking. It's like, how did I take this
Mhm.
thing that was working this way and improve it, make it faster, make it more efficient, make it, cheaper, right? So those are the things that
Absolutely.
they kind of want to see. That's why there's a lot of nursing informatics people in space medicine because that is data, right? So it's like data works with data. It's like engineers understand data. So if
Yep.
you're in nursing informatics
Yeah.
and you want to get in that way, it's an easier sell for them. I met 3 nursing informatics people that nurses that have gotten into that. So there are many different ways, but it looks more like biomedical. It looks more like risk mitigation. It looks more like data analysis. And then because you've been a nurse, you can use that like mentality that you have towards making sure that you are mitigating the risk and things like that. Um, if
Yeah.
you are working to fix a medical process, because you have all of that medical knowledge, it's a lot more helpful.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think, what you're speaking to is something is just a theme that keeps coming up in every non-traditional role. When you're applying for a bedside role from a bedside role, it's very black and white, I have this experience. But getting into those non-traditional roles, you have to learn to speak the language of where you're going and prove to them. And I don't think nurses give themselves enough credit for, all the critical thinking, the process improvement, all of those types of things that we're doing day to day. And it just has to be translated into their language, and that's how you prove your worth, and I think that's so, so important.
It really does. And so like one of the things that I had mentioned was just like you said, changing kind of what you're doing. So instead of saying like administered wound care, you can literally,
Mhm.
and it's so funny because people are like, really? Like that's like what they want to hear, but it's crazy. So instead of saying wound care, you can say tissue integrity maintenance. And it sounds like sci-fi robotic speak, but it literally
Yeah.
every single word in that sentence is explaining what you're doing. As opposed to wound
Yeah.
care. What does that mean? Very vague, right? To an engineer, right?
Mhm.
I know what you mean
Right.
by wound care, but they don't know what you
Sure.
mean by wound care. So just
Yeah.
changing those little things is really what's important.
Oh, yeah, because tissue integrity might look a lot different in their world of what they need too, People might not have gaping wounds, but they still need,
Exactly.
like, healthy skin, yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you've done some more hands-on stuff too, right? Like simulation training, you've done some
I ha-
research fellowships?
Yes, I have done mostly the stuff that I have done is research. Um
Okay.
right now I got accepted to do a poster presentation at the aerospace medicine conference that's coming up, so very exciting. This is my first
Oh,
poster. Yay.
congrats. Huge.
Thank you. And as part of that, so my abstract is essentially training nurses to become the biomedical engineer in mission control. So it's closing
Okay.
the gap between what a nurse knows and what they need to know to be able to do that role. And I have done a lot of research into not only virtual nursing but also like the bioengineering aspect, and I'm learning that it is a lot of not just like triage, but it's also looking at the actual signal that's coming back and like deciding if the signal is good. Right? Like how many times have we taken a blood pressure and been like, I don't know if that's right, right? Or if you're looking at like an A
Yeah.
line tracing and you're like, I don't know if
Mhm.
that's true. I don't think that that's right. So that's taking it a step further and analyzing the signal and trying to fix the signal. So those kind of things. So a lot of my stuff is research based. um
Okay.
and well, I have done hands-on. I did the double IAS training. So that's the International Institute of Astronautical Sciences. And with them, I was able to do some really cool stuff. I was able to fly in one of those like aerobatic planes. So you know how you
I
see
knew I
people in
saw a
like,
video of you doing
yeah, yeah.
that.
So I was able to do that, and I was able to actually feel what like 4 Gs of pressure feels like, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
They trained me to do that like special breathing so that you don't like pass out when you feel all that. I did some hypoxia training. So one of the things that we don't know is, well, we know, but we know what hypoxia is. But one of the things that I had to learn is that everybody's symptoms of hypoxia are different. And you do hypoxia training to learn what your specific symptoms are. And apparently my symptoms are just like acting drunk. So some people have like some really dramatic symptoms where they're like, my fingers are tingling, my mouth is numb, and it's more
Yeah.
obvious. But for me, literally, I was just sitting there going
Christine's
like
just at
this.
happy hour.
And they're like, "Are you okay?" And I literally have a video of me going, I literally went, I just feel like I want to dance. You know what I mean? And they were all
Oh,
cracking up
that's
and
so
they're like,
funny.
I guess put your mask back on because like you put your mask on and then you get oxygen again.
Sure.
So so those were like more of like the hands-on things, like the more like
Yeah.
astronaut training type of things that I did. And it was like one of the coolest things I've done. Um, but yeah, mostly it was
That
that and like research.
Yeah, how cool though, and, like, really when you think about it, you know, astronauts have to learn, like, their bodies so well, and I just feel like the medical knowledge that nurses have would just, set them up to learn their body and understand really the pathophysiology of everything going on really well, so I think it's so cool.
Literally, but yeah, you're right. And literally, because right now I feel like it's a very, like, they call it the right stuff mentality, where it's like a personal failing if you have certain symptoms. And I feel like a nurse can come in and be like, no, like this is what your body's doing. It's not a big deal. Then this is how we can work together to get you, past your line. I feel like nurses are
Yeah.
a little bit more compassionate where it comes to that, where right now there is kind of a mentality of, I'm going to tell this doctor what he needs to hear so that he doesn't take my flight hours away, right?
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah, I see.
the yes, so the first nurse actually that is credited with being a space nurse is Dee O'Hara, and one of her big claim to fames is that she became friends with them and they trusted her more than anybody. So it
Okay.
would be more of a, no, these are your symptoms. It's not a personal failing. You didn't not train
Mhm.
enough. It's literally
Oh,
just,
yeah.
this is what happens to your body. So
Yeah, and how dangerous could that be if you're not being honest, about your symptoms? For
absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know we've kind of talked about a big barrier is just that nurses aren't being seen as a needed resource right now, but are there any other barriers that you see in the way of nurses becoming a part of the aerospace industry?
Just like I said, there's like the right stuff mentality, and it's kind of like a I would ha- I we have like a term here in Florida where it's like the good old boy mentality. It's like nurses are like the right hand of the doctor kind of thing. Like the doctor
Okay.
orders and the nurse does, right? And
True.
because they have that mentality of a nurse, like obviously now it's more of a, we are a team. And even the residents that
Mhm.
are coming out understand that it's a
Sure.
team, and you don't make an enemy of your like nurses, right? So they understand this. But I think that in aerospace, they don't understand that. And so I think it's just speaking up and showing them that we are scientists, we can speak your language. It's not like this whole thing of like, oh, we're just a nurse, we don't understand, we're very smart, we're very
Yeah.
talented, and we can do it. Like, I really do think that if you take a nurse with all of their experience and all of their hours of medicine, and you could literally say like, we need nurses that have this x amount of experience, these x amount of certifications, and then
Mhm.
train them in those like engineering principles that you need. I
Yeah.
think that would literally be the perfect uh astronaut. Literally right now, the
Yeah.
way that it is, if you go to NASA's like astronaut qualifications to see if you can even apply, it literally says the words nurses do not qualify. It literally says that
Oh,
because
wow.
they don't consider us a STEM major, which is
Okay. Yeah,
wild.
I feel personally attacked by that sentence.
Personally, when I read that, I was like, I am reading this and I'm catching strays, like I because I chose to be a nurse. It literally says
Yeah.
nurses do not qualify.
Yeah,
So,
and
s-
some people,
and then
I was applying to engineering school and nursing school at the exact same time because I loved both types of work. So, you can find that intersection in people. And there's probably engineers that are the same, but yeah, I think having that nursing background and like you said, like the downplaying of our ability to critically think versus just be task oriented is just something that we just need to crack all over, not even just in space. It is such a team
definitely,
thing and teams run better when we all like respect each other. So, yeah, really
definitely.
important stuff. So from, you kind of talked about some of the critical care that you think can really help, but what do you think like skills, nursing backgrounds really would translate best to work in this industry?
It really, you know what's funny? It really depends on what you want to do because I personally I think that nurses fit into a lot of different gaps. If you are a nurse that likes data and you want to be that more like clinical informatics, I feel like there's a place for you in there
Mhm.
in creating the what am I thinking about? In creating the software
Sure.
that we use, the medical software. I feel like if you are a nurse that has experience in critical care and you want to do more like hands-on stuff, I feel like you can be very helpful in um reentry rescue.
Mhm.
I think that there are already, if you are a nurse practitioner and you are doing FNP or the critical care nurse practitioner, I feel like you could be also very helpful because you can do that occupational health part where you take care of the astronauts while they are in their quarantine because they have to be
Okay.
quarantined like before the mission, so that they don't get sick and then go to space sick.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you can help actually like take care of the astronauts while they are getting ready to go to space. I think that eventually, to me, I'm already like on like space station, like hospital, like that's where I am, but obviously we're not there
Yeah.
yet. But like CRNAs can be helpful once they figure out surgery in space. They're working on it, but
Sure.
um I think that nurses literally could fit anywhere. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of them understanding that, oh, okay, they can. And I'm telling you, there are already aerospace nurses
Mhm.
as FNPs in the Air Force that are doing
Okay.
that. They literally work with the flight surgeons and sometimes they take over the for the flight surgeons because for me, I think it's natural because we can't expect, like, we're expecting the flight surgeons to do everything right now.
Mhm.
They have to be on call, they have to create the protocols. It's a lot of cognitive load on one person, right? So,
Yeah.
why couldn't the nurse or the FNP or why couldn't they come in and do the operational aspect so that the flight
Mhm.
surgeon can like oversee the program or whatever? I
Yeah,
think
have a
it's
team
this
just
is
like
how
we
we do it
do.
on Earth. Exactly.
Exactly.
So for me,
Yeah.
it's just a natural change. So I think that a nurse with any type of experience really can fit somewhere.
Yeah, and it seems like the more aggressive, the plans are to, live on Mars, like, be there for more long term, obviously, the more important nurses are gonna be in that final
Definitely. And
final planning.
if you're talking about not just going to space and like surviving space, if you're talking about going
Mhm.
to space to live there and thrive there,
Yeah,
I mean, you can't do it without nurses.
we gotta be there. Yes. So, where do you hope the space nurse goes in the next few years? What are you working on, and how are you, helping nurses, helping be the voice to get us more integrated?
A couple of the things that I'm doing is I am creating, so there's two arms for me. There's getting the nurses ready and getting aerospace to turn around, right? So
Sure.
um I am right now, I'm creating like education. I have a course called the orbital patient, which if you are interested in space at all, you have to understand what microgravity does to the body. So I have that on the
Yeah.
spacenurse.com. Another thing that I am working on is I spoke to some of the nurses in, so Rebecca Love and Marion Leary at SONCIEL, which is the organization for nurse innovators. Um,
Yeah.
um, and we were trying to figure out how to make a hackathon for right now. I'm trying to get that space partner. I have a couple of people that are interested. I have a couple
Mhm.
organizations that I'm reaching out to and that are interested. So we're going to try and get that together, because really one of the big things right now for space is trying to close the gaps in the knowledge, right? So they
Mhm.
know certain things, but they don't know certain things. And one of the things that NASA loves is getting ideas to fix those gaps. So for me, it was natural. And they also agreed that creating a hackathon, where nurses can come, hear the challenge problems, and then pitch ideas to them to fix those problems. So
Yeah.
that's one of the big projects that I'm working on as well. And then working with other nurses to kind of get some kind of a certification, um,
Okay.
just kind of to make it more established. So one of the first steps in creating a certification is creating like a textbook. And Dr. Aubrey Florham Smith is actually writing, she's actually creating that textbook, and she invited me to write the acute care and trauma chapter of it. So that's
Very
very
cool.
exciting. And then hopefully from that we can get like a space nurse certification or aerospace nurse certification. Um, I know that there's the CFRN, but that's more of a, not even low Earth orbit. That's more of like a I don't know, the word escapes me right now.
No, that's
A
okay.
flight, like a flight certification, more like rotor
Oh,
wing, fixed
sure.
wing thing.
Okay,
Um,
gotcha.
but we're
Yeah, what
looking
a
more
great
into like the commercial space aspect of it.
yeah, big things, and I love the idea of the hackathon because, like, how better to prove our worth than to just start solving problems, right? It's what we do best.
Literally, that's
So
literally what we do. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so to wrap things up, for a nurse that is just listening and really intrigued by this conversation, what do you think is a really good first step to take today?
I would definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. Christine Rincon, reach out to me. I know a lot of resources for people. I just need to usually know like what is your interest in nursing. So
Sure.
reach out to me on LinkedIn. Go to thespacenurse.com. You can reach out to me through there also. Um, the other thing is, if you're interested in learning about what space does to your body, you can also sign up for the orbital patient on the spacenurse.com. And yeah, we're just trying to get more. I mean, subscribe to the website. I have a newsletter. Anything new that pops up, usually my subscribers are the
Yeah.
first people that learn about it. Once that hackathon is like an actual thing, I'll be putting out calls. I have a podcast now
Yeah.
that I'm getting off the ground. It's not like fully off the ground yet, but I'm looking for guests. So Ellie, you're welcome to
Okay.
come on and we can have a
Alright,
conversation.
maybe I'll join you. Yeah, maybe
Cause then
someday I'll join you in space too, that sounds fun.
that's what I'm talking about. And I think that's part of it. I think that like, because a lot of people don't know and they like Google it maybe and they're like, I don't see anything anyway. So what I'm trying to
Yeah.
do is just kind of build that awareness. So yeah, I know you have Space
Yeah.
Connect. So let's have a conversation.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, Christine, this was such a fun conversation and I love it. It's out of the box, like cutting edge stuff. So I'm so excited to see where it goes. I will make sure to link all of those resources you mentioned, and then I can send out a message once that hackathon materializes. We can send out a message to our subscribers too, as I'm sure people will be interested. But thank you so much for just sharing your journey through this. This is such a unique path for nurses that really shouldn't be overlooked. So thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming today.
Thank you for inviting me. Yay.
Yeah. And if today's episode stretched your idea of what nursing can look like, that is the point of what we do here. There's so many more opportunities out there than we've been led to believe. So if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you're subscribed to the Nontraditional Nurse so you don't miss any future interviews or career deep dives. Thanks to everyone for being here, and we will see you next time. Thank you.